Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here, and I thank the organizers for including me. I believe that Rhonda Copeland will be remembered as one of the most important feminist international lawyers of our time. For me, as a professor of international law myself, she was a role model who wedded theoretical brilliance with real empathy and relentless advocacy. Her relentlessness in pursuit of human rights, especially for women, though sometimes exhausting, was profoundly inspiring. I wish I could speak of all of her many accomplishments in the field of international law, but today I will speak primarily as the daughter of an Algerian father of Muslim heritage, and in that capacity I want to memorialize Rhonda's profound contribution to the progressive fight against Muslim fundamentalism in Algeria and beyond. I know that I speak today for many Algerians, including those who gathered in Paris yesterday to hold their own memorial for Rhonda. They sent me a summary of their event this morning, which included the following wonderful sentence. The testimonies were interspersed with the reading of poems in Arabic and those texts chosen by Rhonda against a backdrop of Yiddish music. How fitting. In these terrible times of anti-Muslim hysteria in the United States and in the wake of the law-violating war on terror, it is sometimes hard for U.S. progressives to remember that the dangerous struggle of the left and women's movements in Muslim contexts against the forces of their own extreme right is one of the most important human rights struggles in the world today and deserves support. But Rhonda, with her vigorous commitment to universality and to secularism, understood this so well. She knew that the most progressive stance toward what is called the Muslim world is concrete solidarity with its progressives, not apology for fundamentalism. She had long worked to challenge religious orthodoxies, whether the religiously justified dispossession of Palestinians by the Israeli state or the attempts by the Catholic Church and Protestant evangelicals in this country to crush women's reproductive freedom. So it made perfect sense that in 1996, Rhonda brought the groundbreaking lawsuit, Jane Doe versus Islamic Salvation Front and Anwar Haddam, on behalf of 9 Algerians and a left-wing Algerian women's organization, against the notorious Islamic Salvation Front and its leader, Anwar Haddam. The case, which she brought under the auspices of the Center for Constitutional Rights, charged Haddam with war crimes and crimes against humanity, including assassination, rape, and torture. The situation in Algeria was far too dangerous for any of the individual plaintiffs to be named, hence the name Jane Doe. However, their lawyer was, of course, openly named, and her clients recently told me how much they had feared for her safety. Rhonda even traveled to Algiers to take their testimonies at a time when it was considered far too dangerous to do so. Though Haddam unfortunately prevailed on summary judgment, a decision that was clearly wrongly decided, the case represented pioneering advocacy in that it recognized and sought a remedy for the grave harms to progressive activists posed by religious fundamentalists, a cause which Rhonda championed throughout her life. Yet another brave milestone case that broke her heart, as Roz described, the McRae case. The victims never forgot that Rhonda stood with them, and they were among the organizers of the memorial yesterday in Paris. In 2008, a group of them wrote, "We thank you, dear friend and comrade, who supported us personally, publicly, and legally at a time when you were nearly alone in doing so. We thank you for defying the conventional wisdom, including among the major human rights organizations, by defending the victims of fundamentalist armed groups." Rhonda herself talked to me often about the failure of progressives in the United States to support her plaintiffs in the Haddam case. This was a very lonely struggle for her, as the struggle against Muslim fundamentalism so often continues to be. And I have to say that I have thought about Rhonda's loneliness around this case a great deal in recent months as I have tried internally to challenge the decision by the Center for Constitutional Rights, an organization which Rhonda loved, to represent the interests of a notorious al-Qaeda ideologue, Anwar Awlaki, who remains at large and openly threatens non-fundamentalist Muslims with the kind of jihad that targeted the Haddam plaintiffs. While I believe that Rhonda would have absolutely agreed with opposing United States government targeted assassinations, which is the point of the suit, she would have found a different way of doing so because she would have recognized that Awlaki has his own victims. And I challenge us to remember her legacy on these issues as we work on this very difficult terrain. I will always remember that at the end of her life, Rhonda was still relentless. In late March, she still had the energy to be outraged that Amnesty International had suspended the head of its gender unit for publicly criticizing the organization's close relationship with a British former Guantanamo detainee, Moazzam Begg, who was also a supporter of jihadist movements and who claimed to be, quote, conservative on family values. Rhonda knew exactly what that meant. And she spent much of the evening at the party for Charlotte Bunch in March, politicking about this issue. A few of us Algerians finally managed to drag her away from the politics upstairs and onto the dance floor. And I have to say that I will always remember, perhaps more than anything else, that even 1.5 months before her death, she was still a fabulous dancer. It will be one of the great honors of my life that I got to be friends with Rhonda Copeland. I miss her very much, but I know that when we are both principled and relentless in our pursuit of justice, as she was, she lives on in us. To paraphrase the words said by Muslims at the time of someone's passing, with perhaps a secular humanist twist, we come from the universe, and to the universe we return.